The first thing I want to focus on is the importance of the health and well-being of all Australians, but in particularly to persons with intellectual disability. So we know from significant amounts of work over the last little while that people with intellectual disability often have lower health and well-being outcomes than other Australians. It's also the case, and an area that I work in, particularly around criminal justice, that persons with intellectual disability, cognitive disability, fare far worse than most other people, even though people in criminal justice systems tend to have very low well-being and poor health outcomes. Persons with intellectual disability have even worse. And when we put this together with mental health disorder, we see a significant compounding of poor outcomes and poor well-being. I'd also like to just highlight for you, in case you don't know, the excellent work that's happening here at this university. We are partnering with a whole range of other universities and government departments and NGOs, but we have just funded and supporting a new initiative, Disability Innovation Institute. And I think a number of people here today are in that, including Professor Leanne Dowse sitting at the front table here, and Professor Karen Fisher at the same table. So if you want to know what's happening in that area, you can grab them at morning tea or at lunchtime to have a chat. So these emerging areas of strength at UNSW, but at other places as well, mean that this is an excellent time for us to pull together the kind of thinking that this day is going to pull together. So we had a roundtable in 2013 which pulled together a whole range of information and thoughts and 8 themes, and I know we're going to hear how those have progressed, and particularly in light of the massive changes between 2013 and 2018 around not only the emergence of the NDIS, but also of a range of other ways of understanding this, including, very importantly, the work that quite a number of people in the room are doing, including Professor Trollor, around linked data and the evidence that can provide for us and the help that can be. So I guess that one of the key things that worries me, I am Deputy Chair, by the way, of New South Wales Council, Advisory Council to the Minister on Disability. And one of the things that concerns the Council significantly is the big shift that must happen to the 90% of people who have disability who will not get an NDIS package. The big shift to mainstream services. Now, it's always been the case that mainstream services should have been providing really good quality support. But we are focused very particularly today on the need for mainstream health, mental health in particular, but mainstream health, mainstream associated services to do with health, but other mainstream services as well that impact significantly on the health and well-being of people with intellectual disability who also have mental health disorders. I do a lot of work around housing and homelessness. Now, that is a huge area that impacts on people's health and well-being, and is particularly, people with mental and cognitive disability are particularly vulnerable to poor housing as well. So I'll be so interested to hear how people are thinking about the importance of moving into mainstream and what mainstream services need to do to move themselves to the position where they do provide the appropriate sort of support, but do it in a way which is well informed by the knowledge of people in this room.